Hello, this is Alejandro Bratti and William Eiley from Unlock Clarity, and welcome to the Spanglish World Networks on Single TV channel 250. Please remember to download both the Single TV app on the respective app stores on iOS and Android. While you download, make sure to rate and leave a comment. The app is free and is available in Google Chromecast, Amazon Fire, Roku, and all smart TVs. Today we are very happy, really, with William because we are summing up everything that we have been talking in the last months. I believe it's not only weeks but months, and really the way we found to do this summary was. I like it a lot, and I believe you are going to like it a lot because we are going to be giving a lot of examples. So even the title for today, we change it to, okay, we want to unleash your energetic essence. It's not only about masculine or feminine, that's what we have been talking, but how we go beyond that, because sometimes that's exactly what we have been talking. It's like that thing is only for men, that thing is only for women. No, it's not about that. It's about how we can embrace and become our true selves in a better way, and use all the energy in that behavior. So what we found is a way to explain to you like different misconceptions that suddenly we have in regards of different energies. And but first, let me ask William, how are you? How happy you are with this topic today?
I'm doing well, and the next few weeks are going to be nice because we can do a deep dive in bringing both sides together, so that there's only one.
Exactly, and we are going to be using a lot of examples. I remember very clearly that when I was at the university, there was a professor that always was talking to me in theorems. Everything was about theory, and I was like, "Oh, I like it, but I don't understand it. Can you give me an example?" And he was always saying, "No, no, no example, because the example is going to be something very specific, and you can apply it with everything." What I believe we have been doing until now, we have been talking about the theory in the different areas on masculine and feminine energy. What we are going to do today and the next couple of weeks is going to do examples and be in the part that I was asking that professor at that time. Okay, can you give me example, because it's okay, but I don't understand it. So when you have some examples, I start to give you some ideas of how to apply it and where to apply it, and why we are talking that the masculine is important and the feminine is important, and it's important for both genders or any gender. It's always important. So the first topic is about aggression versus assertiveness. So what we found is normally aggression is often seen as something that is very negative. And of course, that's also something that we can start to say that masculine energy is very negative. But when you start to be more aligned, when you start to understand and embrace it, when you understand this that we have been talking, this aggression can become in assertiveness. And assertiveness suddenly becomes a positive force that helps you to put boundaries when you need to put boundaries, standing up when you need to do it, for yourself, for others, in different environments. So it's not being aggressive, but having the assertiveness of doing it, and especially without violating the rights of others. That's in the aggression. Maybe we are doing that. We are violating others' ideas, other thoughts, other things. But when we change that and we start to connect that in a very understood and channel way, suddenly we can use the power of assertiveness. So that's one of the energies that we can see it in the bad side or in the good side, and assertiveness is the good side of this.
Absolutely. I've got a couple of friends who had to learn and find their assertive sides because they weren't necessarily aggressive. They were the victims of aggression. And yet they had to find their aggressive side, not aggressive, their assertive side, so that they could make their own boundaries and stand up for themselves. It was a nice thing to see. So then we have stoicism versus emotional strength. Stoicism, it gets misinterpreted. It looks like emotional coldness and sometimes indifference. When we can understand it and channel it properly, it transforms into an emotional strength that allows us to remain calm and composed, especially in, say, accidents or sometimes traumatic situations where we can process the emotions that come up in a way that leads us to wisdom and stability versus the old trope, when in doubt, run in circles, scream and shout. Um, and that's one of my things is I'm very cool under pressure most of the time, where it matters. When something goes horribly wrong, like when I worked for the bank, a couple of things went horribly wrong, and I was able to keep my head, and we were all able to get things fixed quickly.
The next point that we have is the competitiveness versus drive for achievement. So, and for me, this topic is special because I have been always, for a long time, I was in the competitiveness side. And also, that's something that I see right now, for example, with my kids in the school, they are teaching a lot of the competitiveness. Like, they are little and they are growing, and everything is about, like, okay, you have to compete against others. And the problem with that is that it can imply win at all costs. It's like that is the attitude. You don't care about anything. You just have to win, and that's it's helping you to find the to have some results, but uh, it's affecting a lot, like other people and a lot of things. When we move to the drive for achievement, everything is about striving for personal excellence, how you can be your best, but not at the expense of others. And that's the big difference. What you are looking here is you want to be your best version. You want to connect with your best version. You know who is the best version of you, and that is driving you to have the achievements that you want. That's why you want to be better, but not because you want to at all costs eliminate all your competition. So for me, that's why this topic was really even interesting to see the masculine energy, how you can apply it in different environments.
Exactly. And we now move to feminine energies that often get misunderstood. So emotionality versus emotional intelligence. And emotionality sometimes gets a bad rap as lack of control over your feelings. And the thing is, when we can practice emotional intelligence, which is a feminine energy, it's important to remember that it's the ability to understand and manage one's emotions to give us the ability to empathize with others. Not sympathize always, empathize. And that's a talk all by itself. But when we can empathize, it leads to deeper connections and understanding of a situation, of a person, of what's really going on.
And I like a lot this one in specific because again, emotional intelligence is something that right now it's everywhere, and I believe in the last 10 years maybe there has been a lot of information about it, but normally we don't see it as the feminine energy that you need to embrace, and that right now is something that help you to really succeed in your business, with your peers, with everything. Is like if you start to understand how to connect with this energy and embrace it, even when it's a feminine, and I am a man talking about this, suddenly you have really embracing more power for you. The next point that we want to talk is about another one that it's something that we started to talk a few weeks ago: intuition versus wisdom. So intuition is sometimes a thing that is, yeah, it's something that maybe it's just guesswork, or it's only for some people but not for everyone. But thinking about wisdom as a feminine energy also, that I want to have. I remember since I was 7 years old and I was reading the Proverbs in the Bible, I was saying like, oh, I love that. What he was asking was, I want to have wisdom, nothing else, wisdom instead of wealth. But I didn't thought that that was a feminine energy, and how that can work. So here what we are saying is intuition can become a profound form of wisdom that comes from a deep understanding of people, situations, and even knowing what to do in a situation that logically is not explainable. So that's why at the end wisdom is something that we are looking for always.
And yet, when I was 8 as well, I asked for wisdom. And I didn't realize that my life was going to go to hell in a handbasket so that I could learn it. So yeah, it's one of those things of I wisdom is nice to have. I warn you, unless you really mean it, don't ask for it, because patience is one of the stepping stones along the way to wisdom. And I tell people, don't ask for wisdom unless you mean it, or don't ask for patience unless you mean it. The universe is going to test you a lot.
Mm.
So yeah. So then, vulnerability versus courage. I was just very vulnerable with you. Um, so remember that vulnerability, sometimes mistaken for fragility, is actually a very courageous act. Because if someone's willing to share with you what makes up their essence, they're being very courageous. It's a gift that they've given you. And when we can embrace vulnerability, that gives us an authenticity and the ability to build genuine connections. And because it takes a great deal of strength to uh, practice another word called intimacy, which, as one of my therapists said, translation for that is into me see. And so, yeah, it's not something to sneeze at, shall we say.
And this one for me in particular is something that I have been learning a lot in the last year, because as a man, I was thinking that I can show my weakness, and that's why I don't have to be vulnerable. But really, being vulnerable really is the only way to connect with others, is the only way that people can, oh yeah, Alejandro is like me, he's having the same situations, or William is exactly like me. He understands very well because he is vulnerable. When I am coaching or mentoring somebody, the examples I have to use a lot of vulnerability of the things that I have gone through, or the family, or this or the other. So at the end, this is very courageous, and looking at that word from vulnerability to courage is wow. Eh, very profound. So now let's move to the action points that we recommend. So the first one is start to reflect on the personal perceptions. What is the definition that you have for every word that you are using? So maybe, oh, that's for a woman. Start to see, okay, why that, where is coming this idea from? It's yours, it's from another person, it's from, where is it coming? Is it really for women or vice versa?
Exactly. And yeah, and a very important point too, is it really yours? Is this just something that I was taught? Is this the way I've always done it, the way I've always thought about it? And so, from that perspective, educate yourself. Look for people that you trust around this topic, and find and read books that can help you better understand the energetics of this topic.
The third point, open dialogue. Uh, with the people, that start conversation with people that you trust, that you feel that is safe for you, friends, family, colleagues, that you feel that is safe. I am not saying that with everyone, but open dialogue about this, and start to have different points of views of, okay, I hear this in the Unlockrity program. What do you think about it? Like other type of things that can help you to start to bring your own awareness and your own transformation.
Absolutely. Speaking of awareness, mindful observation. Here's another aspect of mindful observation. Pay attention to how these energies are portrayed in the media and society. And based on what we've been teaching, notice the discrepancies in the stereotypes that are around that whole subject. It's very eye-opening.
And the last point of recommendation of action steps is personal assessment. Start to look, identify situations that maybe have limited you because you misunderstood that. Like what we were talking today is like, okay, vulnerability is something that I misunderstood, but if I see it as courage, it's something very good to do. Intuition, maybe I misunderstood it because it was dismissed or something that is irrational, but wisdom is very rational and very important. uh, Emotionality, more or less, but in reality emotional intelligence is very powerful. Why? Because emotionality, yeah, I can control it, but understanding emotional intelligence is telling you, yes, emotions are good, and it's okay because they is helping you to have this compass to know if you are doing it right or wrong. So William, it was an amazing program. I love it, and I hope that everybody that was listening love it. If you have any comment or message, just send us the information, and we are more than happy to answer and hear from you. This show can also be heard on Spanglish Radio Networks. Please check out spanglishworld.ca for all the news and programming. Spanglish World, watch it, hear it, read it, download it, and leave it. Thank you all. See you next week. Bye.